Welcome to our next episode with the Therapy Dogs Australia podcast. If you've been following us on our socials, you may be aware that we have just launched our Therapy Dogs Aotearoa branch to reach our cousins across the ditch in New Zealand. We're really excited about this and can't wait to see where it leads. Caitlin, who is a very valued member of Therapy Dogs Australia, who was also born and raised in Aotearoa, is joining Sam and I today to discuss more about it. Enjoy. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode with the Therapy Dogs Australia podcast. We have Caitlin, who's also part of Therapy Dogs Australia. So, hi, Caitlin.
Hello.
And Sam, of course.
Hello.
Hi. So, we're going to be chatting about Therapy Dogs Aotearoa today, which is something that we've launched recently. We're very excited about it. I'm going to kick it over to Caitlin, who's going to just, talk a little bit more about it and introduce it.
Kia ora, everyone. So my name is Caitlin, and I am from Aotearoa. So I'm from Christchurch. So we're going to be starting today with a karakia. So I'll start that now. So kia hora te marano, kia whakapapa pounamu te moana, hia hurahi ma tātou I te rangi nai, aroha atu aroha mai, tātou I a tātou katoa. May peace be widespread. May the sea be like greenstone, a pathway for us all this day. Give love, receive love. Let us show respect for each other. So my pepeha, so ko opuki te moanga, ko waka waimakuru te awa no Otatahi ahu, ko Thomas toku whānau, ko Caitlin toku ingoa. So Hutt is my mountain, Waimakuru is my river, I am from Christchurch, Thomas is my family name, and my name is Caitlin. So I was born and raised in Otatahi in Christchurch. I went to school there, and I flew to Australia in 2014. And it's funny because I'd never been to Australia before.
Wow.
I had my best friend here and she was like, you should just move to the Gold Coast. So I was like,
Okay.
Okay. And I had another friend in Brisbane who said the same thing at the same time. She was like, you should just come to Brisbane. I was like, okay. And so I did. But I was there for all of the Christchurch earthquakes. And that was, when I left in 2014, that had all been, pretty much done. With the big earthquakes anyway. But for me there was no real reason for me to be in Christchurch. I didn't have a business, I didn't have I didn't have kids, I didn't have a house or any real commitments to keep me to, I had my family, but my father, but I was 21, I was like, I want to go be brave.
Kicking off on an adventure.
Yeah. And so that's what brought me to Brisbane. And you'll notice that my accent is very much gone now.
You may think that, but I hear it all the time.
When I first came to Australia, my friends never failed to tell me how strong my New Zealand accent was, but since being around Australians 24/7, I live with Australians, I work with Australians, my accent has tended to move more that way. It's funny now because when I go home and I talk to people, like if I speak today or anything, they're always like, where are you from? Here. Like, oh, okay. So my pronunciation of some words is not what it used to be. So you'll hear me say some words and you'll be like, it's not quite that, but that's why. So I don't have anyone who speaks today around me, so I'm trying to practice it with my son, but he can't speak yet. So.
Very slack of him.
13 weeks, what the hell? That's why the sounding will be a little bit off, but I'm giving it a red hot go, so bear with me.
Love it.
Yeah, but that's pretty much my story, and I'm so excited to be doing this back in New Zealand because I know that there are a lot of people who do work with their dogs, and they've told me how great it is and how, wonderful it is for the people that they work with. And so it's just, it makes me really excited to go home so that we can, make sure that everything is safe, make sure that, we're all working within welfare guidelines and, keeping things ethical as well. So, because this is what we offer doesn't exist in New Zealand just yet. So
yeah, you identified a gap.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's wonderful that people do know about it, but it's really important that we set this baseline so that people can do it safely and correctly, so that they don't injure themselves, their dogs, or the people that they're working with.
That's it.
And I suspect that it is going to look a little bit different from what we offer currently in Australia, because there's a different, group of people that we're working with. There's different things that come in culturally when we're working with, Indigenous cultures. So I'm really excited for how that's going to look and how we can adapt and how we can facilitate that for people. So, and we're going to learn a lot from that as well, which is also going to be really exciting. So can't wait.
To me, this progression makes a lot of sense for us. So to give people a little bit more information about Caitlin started working for me at POA as our receptionist. So she answered a job ad.
That is so cool.
She was like, I'll do it. She worked at a car hire place.
Yeah.
And like rocked up, and we were like, she seems all right. Like, which is how I hire everyone. Haven't checked a reference in my life. And you know what? Most of the time it works out. So it's all good. But rolls up. So she's doing the reception work, and probably won't mind me saying this, but she didn't love it. So there was a few issues along the way of Caitlin just really not loving it. And
it's funny because I enjoy doing I enjoy organizing myself, and because I'd also done like admin stuff before, but I think for me, like coming out of like an admin role, but I didn't make the connection that I wasn't loving that job, that environment, but I didn't translate that to probably you just don't like admin.
Yeah. So
we're all learning.
For those listening, actually, Paul, we're just stepping in. Paul's your psychology,
yes,
like psychologists and counselors, like a clinic, animal assisted clinic.
And it's an animal assisted therapy clinic that I run in Redcliffe. So we have, a small team of psychs, prov psychs, and speechy. So and we're all canine assisted. So anyway, but this is like, I don't know, like what, 4 years ago or something? Like this is a while ago now. Yeah. And so Caitlin's doing the admin, and I'm like, so my other psychologist that worked there at the time, Amy, who's done a podcast with us before, she works at a school now. I think she was provisionally registered, and then she became generally registered. And I was like, we need another prov psych. And Caitlin was like, I know one. And I was like, who? And she was like, my partner. And I was like, what? So that's Samuel, who had done his degree, and just as happens, really hard to get into an internship after your degree.
Gosh, it was
a nightmare.
So
really? Wow. I didn't realize
easier now.
So hard. Oh, okay.
It's easier now with the NDIS, but it was a nightmare back then. Like especially when I was doing it, was a nightmare. Yeah. So anyway, it turns out Samuel's done a psychology degree and is like doing support work and like looking for an opportunity. And I was like, get him in here. Well, the same thing. I like met him and I was like, he seems all right.
Yeah.
So Samuel comes along. We put Samuel through his 4+2 prov psych. So it must be Cato, because that'd be nearly a year ago that he became generally registered.
Yeah. Like,
I don't know. It would be
It's been a while, though.
it would be around about, if not more. I was thinking maybe it was a year in March, but
You know what? I know it's been just coming up, either just coming up a year or just over a year, because we're about to do our first tax return as him being a psych. So
that's what I was gonna say, like, because it's a contract as a contractor.
the contract, yeah.
The progression of that also included, so we got Caitlin, she's doing the admin, she's not a huge fan. And then we get Samuel, who starts his provisional pathway, and I'm like, this is cool. And then Caitlin is like, you know, she's that. So to clarify, so the admin role of a psychology practice or allied health practice is a terrible job. Like, it
is it just
so hard? It's full on.
There's a lot of things that come into it.
There's so much to it. Like, it's not a normal admin job. It's very complex. Every day it's not just the same every day. There's about a million things that you've got to be thinking of all the time. It's full on. Like, people that enjoy it and are really good at it, like so Emily, who does, if anyone has dealt with our admin with TDA, Emily now does our poor admin as well. So, but she's a weapon. Like, she gets it, you know. But also she had done it previously somewhere else. So it wasn't her first rodeo. She wasn't
thrown in the deep end.
Practice at, yes. Yeah. And she knows us, you know, so it was like a really smooth transition. So Caitlin's doing that, Samuel's provisional, and then Caitlin finishes she's doing a counselling qualification. And then she like finishes that, and we're like, oh, sick. Like, this is sick, man. And then Caitlin becomes a counsellor at the clinic, and we just get another admin person. Like, we're like, this admin sucks. Like, let's do something. What do you want to do? I remember having a conversation with Cato being like, so what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? And we just have been over the course of this however many years just really trying to find what is it that you want to do, and what's your passion, mate? Like, what makes you happy and that sort of stuff. Because it wasn't the admin, and it was a hard time. I think, even probably won't mind me saying, Cato, but it was a hard time in your life, just being stressed and
that would not have helped.
Like, and it's like there was a point there where I was working 3 jobs. Like, it was just one of those times where we're, you know, Samuel's early career, we're young, there's lots, you know, there was financial commitments that came up, and we were just like, we're trying to travel and stuff as well. And, you know, there was buying a house that came into it at some point. So there was a lot of things that were going on.
You were living further away too. Like, there was quite a bit of commuting as well. And you know, like, it's just
a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. And so, sorry, go Max.
No, you go.
I was like, you kind of. So then we find out, okay, so we're going to get Caitlin, like, we're going to swap, she's going to do counselling. And then we trained Caitlin and Samuel's dogs. I can't even remember when that was. And like, both just took a real liking to that. I know Samuel did as well, but has been focusing on his being an early career psychologist, because it's a lot. But so Samuel does animal assisted therapy with 3 dogs now. So they've got Willow, Storm, and Ocean. So Samuel's been, you know, swapping his dogs around and working with dogs. And Caitlin's on maternity leave because she selfishly had a baby, which, you know, threw a spanner in the works for...
You can't speak Māori yet, or at all. What the hell?
And, I mean, what's he like with the admin? Because I just, you know... He'll be coming up to his first performance review, you know, because obviously he was born into a family that worked for me. So obviously,
exactly. So is expected to follow.
I think it's like a genetically it's poor and TDA. It just runs through his veins, I think.
Yeah, he'll have to run some child animal therapy class or something.
That'd be cute.
Buddy. So then Caitlin took an interest in the TDA stuff. I remember, did we? I don't remember if we had you doing the TDA admin as well for a bit,
Yeah,
but
there was a little bit, yeah.
I think that was the time there. And then, the dog training was just a real good fit for Caitlin. So she went and did a dog training qualification as well. So most of you will have met, if you're already aligned with Therapy Dogs Australia, you would have met Caitlin. She co-facilitates our courses. She trains our dogs. She does our temperament assessments. She marks our obedience assessments. She's got a lot going on with us. And she's a very, very big part of Therapy Dogs Australia and Therapy Dogs Aotearoa and what we do. And so when Caitlin came to me with the brainchild, actually, I meant to say as well, so doing her counselling, Caitlin went and was trained in the cultural counselling as well. What's that called? Is it
Like kaupapa Māori?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Caitlin
Māori counselling
at POA was doing targeted counselling for Māori folk as well in our community. So her room was had all these beautiful, it was all set up for all this really cool cultural stuff that you do that makes sense to come into this space, and also beautiful stuff on the walls. And yeah, it's just she really created this really cool little thing, and it was all, so when we had that conversation how many years ago about what do you want to do, man? Just what do you want to do? And let's just do it. Let's do it. And since then, Caitlin's come up with stuff and ideas and things she wants to do, and we've found ways to do it, and she's found ways to do it. And it's led us all the way to here, which is why are we not, there's therapy dogs over the ditch and can't find anyone who's training them, who's training these dogs and handlers over there. As Caitlin's obviously got a really strong connection with her culture, and she's, her family's all over there, and all that sort of stuff. So still a big, huge connection to Aotearoa, and came and said, "What's the go with this?" And it's been on the back burner. We've been intending to make something happen, to provide something over there, because obviously it's our passion, we want handlers and dogs trained, and New Zealanders are our cousins. So, you can't really throw a stick and not hit a New Zealander in Australia. So
exactly.
Yeah, there are a lot of us around.
That's it. And I mean, we've got a connection as countries together as well. We're alliances and all that sort of stuff. And I think that, so what happened, it was on the back burner. And I'm kind of, as you all probably know, I'm got way too many plates in the air, and I'm constantly pots in the air because I've thrown them, because I've reached my breaking point.
Uh-oh.
It's my Friday afternoon pot throwing ceremony, similar to many other cultural ceremonies, except it's my own, and it's the sign of a meltdown. So looking into it, she was a bit of a pain to figure out. There's not a lot of information, mate. And we're trying to figure out, how do we do this? Anyway, Caitlin, as I mentioned, selfishly had a baby. So she's on maternity leave. And I don't know, obviously new mums have got heaps of time on their hands or something. I don't know what it's like, but she's hit the old Google pretty hard, and has honestly, so Jed's 13 weeks old now. So I think you're on maternity leave for about, I don't know, 4 weeks or 5 weeks or something before he was.
About 4, I think.
And yeah, in that time, Caitlin's figured it out and has been reaching out to people. Amazing. It just wouldn't have happened. It's just one of those things. Honestly, I've had emails about this pinned on my inbox for months, where I'm I'm going to get to that. And then I'll look at something for 15 minutes, get confused and overwhelmed, and be like, all right, tomorrow. Repin this email. Don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So, and we even reached out, I reached out and asked people, and people were like, oh, I don't know, you know, and I was like, oh my God, why is it so hard? Where are the
Yeah.
Anzacs? What the hell?
Yeah. Like, why is this not in our, mutual treaty or whatever? And I think a lot of it is because people just don't know, because it hasn't been done before, and no one's asked that question. No one's taking the initiative to be like, hold on a sec.
Yeah.
And like, it's such a big thing as well. It's not just, oh, we'll put up a workshop and we'll just, see how it goes. There's a lot of research that does need to come into it to protect ourselves as a company, first of all, but to also protect myself as a handler and a trainer, and also to protect the company that if we do partner with people, like, to protect them as well, and to make sure that we're giving them the people in New Zealand the right advice or the right information, because if I don't, or if we don't, then that's a useless workshop.
That's it. Yep. Exactly. There is so much to it.
There are things that are different between Australia and New Zealand in terms of, training and what the government offers in terms of like funding, even like, in Australia we have NDIS that doesn't exist in New Zealand. They have ACC, which it's similar to Medicare but different. So there's a lot less funding available for people in New Zealand. So a lot of training is an out-of-pocket cost, unless you have you work for a company that does want to contribute to your professional development. But I know that's quite hard to come. It's quite hard to come by in Australia. So New Zealand's different in terms of the financial aspect of things. There's a lot more funding available in Australia compared to New Zealand. So there's a lot of differences. So it's definitely something that we need to take seriously, and to make sure that we're giving people the right information, so that we don't cause any upsets anywhere.
That's it. Yep. It's a big responsibility. And it's not something that we've taken lightly. And it's certainly like, we're not just like, oh, well, we'll just see what happens. It is something that we've put a lot of thought into, and obviously, Caitlin's got a deep connection. So we're not going into this like, oh, well, we'll just, who cares? Like, oh, who cares about that? It is actually very important to us on a personal level. And then it's important to us on a professional level as well. So when those two things marry up and combine, and we've got a driving force behind us like Caitlin, who has done a lot of the footwork and continues to do a lot of the footwork while I throw pots and pans around on Friday afternoons. So it's very exciting. So what's coming up? So we've been emailing. So a lot of people already know about this because we've been on our socials. Therapy Dogs Aotearoa has its own socials. It is trading under Therapy Dogs Australia. So if anyone in Aotearoa is like, who are these clowns?
Don't get confused.
Don't get confused. You are trading. We are Therapy Dogs Australia, and Therapy Dogs Aotearoa is a trading name for you guys over there. So very exciting. We've had an opening offer for all of New Zealand residents, so that we know that these are tough times, even in Australia, the economy and the way things are at the moment. She's a bit of a sight to sore eyes, but in New Zealand, my partner's son lives in New Zealand, and so we get information from over there as well, and it's a dire situation over there too. So we understand. Ridiculous. Like the cost, we think we got it bad here. Like it's way worse over there.
That is so tough.
It sucks. It sucks, man. Like it's becoming an unlivable situation where people just cannot afford everyday stuff. So it's putting a lot of stress on people. That means that therapy dogs are going to be super useful, and like all the stuff that goes, earthquakes and all that sort of shit that goes on over in there. So
flooding,
we're flooding. So we do want therapy dogs over there, but we are aware of the economic crisis that's happening as well. So we've been running a 20% off offer for our New Zealand residents. So we will be giving you a code at the end of this podcast as well, because by the time this has been launched, that original code will be expired. But we'll give you a new one at the end of this. And for our New Zealand residents, we're going to extend that for you until the end of 2023.
Woohoo.
So the end of the 2023 courses. So just hang in there for that, or fast forward till the end. Whatever, do whatever you want. Good stuff. Okay, so what are we doing, Cato? What are we offering? How does this work?
So we've got we're going to be doing a workshop in Aotearoa in Christchurch this September. I have been in communication with a company to hopefully run it with them, partner with them, which is very exciting. But we've just got to finalize some few details before I can confirm whether that's going to go ahead or not. So that's going to be our first workshop in Aotearoa, and it's going to be our only free workshop as well. So we're going to do this one for free so that we can just let people meet us, let people meet me, get them to put a name to a face to the company and things like that, and just bring a bit of awareness more than anything else.
Community focus.
This is a real company. It's like it's
it is
based in Australia, but it is a real company. There are real people here.
Yes. Yeah. So we're just gonna test the waters a little bit with that. So that should be happening on the 29th of September. But again, I still have to confirm a few things around that. But it will be this September, because I will be in New Zealand this September. So that's when it will happen. We're also going to do on a different day, probably the day after that, on the 30th, we'll do some free 15-minute face-to-face what we call pre-course assessments. So that's when we meet. So someone might come to us and they're like, oh, I've got this dog, I work in this, I work in education, or I work in mental health, but I've got this dog and I really want to do therapy dog work, or be in the animal assisted activities or services area, but I'm just not sure if this dog is the right fit. And we say, cool, let's do a pre-course assessment. So they come to us and we have a chat, we meet the dog, and we kind of get a feel for the dog, see what its temperament's like, see how they interact with the new environment, talk to the person, have a look at the human animal bond between them, and kind of gauge whether that dog is right for that particular role that they've got in mind, or whether there might be some other thing that might be better, or maybe this dog just isn't the right fit for this realm at all. And it doesn't mean that they're a bad dog, it just means that that's just not the best thing for them, and that just comes from a safety angle.
And a welfare for the dog thing. Like, it's the main thing is going to be like, this dog's not going to enjoy this job, like that's the main thing. And the other thing is, this dog might think that this job is fun, but it's going to create complete chaos. So we would need to see this dog being better managed or more mature a lot of the time, because they're younger, before we would say it's a good idea to take this dog into a dental clinic or psychology practice.
100%. That's going to be the free 15-minute assessments. I'm going to try to keep to that 15 minutes as much as possible. That 15 minutes does always fly by very quickly, so that's my intention. But we'll see how much interest we get from the previous workshop. The time that I have in New Zealand is limited because I do have to return to Australia, unfortunately. So we'll just have to gauge what the interest is, and then hopefully I do have a bit of space where I can open up a couple, another day or so if the interest is there. So don't fret if you don't get a spot. We've always got the option for you to meet us online as well, so we can, even though face to face is better, but we can still get a really good gauge of you and your dog and your situation online as well. So we do those assessments via Zoom. So
we do.
Worst case scenario, you can still meet us, it'll just be over Zoom.
That's such good value too, because you really know your stuff, and like, it's not just like, 15 minutes of like, let's just check out the dog. Like there's just a heap of value that comes from that 15-minute little pre-consultation.
We're not going to know, like from 15 minutes, we're not going to know definitely yes. But I tell people that in a 1 hour pre-assessment or pre-course consult anyway, like we're not going to know what this dog is going to look like after we've put X amount of training and time into them and blah, blah, blah. But there are a certain number of dogs that we will look at that will be a definite yes. And there's some that we will look at that will be a definite no. And so that's what we're trying to get through is we don't want people paying for courses with a definite no dog. And then we meet it at the end of the course in a temperament assessment. And we're like, there's no way this dog was ever going to be like what.
That's
and they've wasted their money. They've wasted their time, blah, blah, blah. But so there's things that like dogs aren't static. Like they evolve with their environment and their circumstances all the time. So if we look at your dog in September 2023, that's not to say that in September 2025 that is the same. It's like looking at a child at that time, so we just want to be aware. And that happens for all of us anyway. Like anything can occur in our environment or our situations that has an impact on our dogs, and the dog becomes either suitable or not suitable for the work that we're trying to do. So we obviously, disclaimer, keep that in mind. But we can definitely, what I find during the pre-course consults is the best information is the information that I'm giving the person over what we are looking for in these dogs for this type of setting, because they don't know. So and a standard everyday pet dog trainer can't tell you because they've never worked with dogs in those settings. So they don't know. So we get people that come to us that a pet dog trainer has told them that this dog is a yes or a no, but we're like, well, that we wouldn't agree with that. A lot of the time it's a no. Like pet dog trainers have said no. And we've come back and been like, this dog's perfect. Like, what are you talking about?
This is amazing.
What are you talking about? We want dogs like this. So, just being aware of that. But like the amount of information that we have to give to you is huge. So if you're going to book in for a 15-minute time slot with Cato, I would recommend that you do that intro workshop the day before, because it's going to help you really put the picture together.
Yes.
If you can't make these dates, we run these courses online, like we run them. But this was just your opportunity for a face-to-face, and we're, obviously cutting the costs for you for coming and doing it face-to-face and coming and meeting Caitlin and introducing yourselves and letting us introduce ourselves to you. So that's why there's this conversation happening. But if you miss out, we've been here for like 7 years. We will continue.
We're online. Yeah.
Yes, we're not going anywhere. Like it's and even if you're we have such a great variety of things that we run now, like comparatively to when Amy, who also works for Therapy Dogs Australia, and I did this course back a long time ago. We've developed so much since then. Like back then I think you just had the community and clinical courses, but now we've got the pre-course assessments, we've got the puppy training, the adolescent training, we've got, you can even do one-on-one dog training with us. So it might be that you just book in a one-on-one session that could just be to discuss things with us, or it could be for like, live dog training feedback. It could be like, if you've already done your course, you can do that to like get your videos, to get a feel for your videos before you submit them for assessment, just to see if they're on the right track or not. Like there's so many different things that you can that we can work with you on. It's not just doing the course. There's so much outside of that, which is so cool.
I feel like we have our own culture where it's actually quite a personalized service. So people actually come to us, and from the moment that they approach us to graduating and then reassessments every year after that, it's such a personalized offering for them the whole way, where, we've got people that they do regular group supervision with us, or we've got people that do individual supervision with us, or we've got people that do like individual dog training, or like there's, and I'm, we're reassessing dogs. So, we've got teams that I've known now for 6 years, like we just keep reassessing the dogs and have our catch up and have a coffee, and it's heaps of people I do reassessments with. I go and buy them a coffee and we sit at the cafe and I assess the dog and we have a chat and what's been going on and that's the stuff. And it's really, and we got new students that one of the things I've mentioned before, but I do want people to know, is that we're accommodating people for their capacity to learn and get these assessments in as well. So we understand that we're training a human as well as training the dog. And there are multiple people that I have guided through their obedience assessment videos. And, we will change this process up in terms of how we, submit things and stuff like that to get people across the line, because we know, not all dogs are created equal. They're not cookie cutters, and neither are all of our handlers. So we have a criteria and we stick to our criteria, but the way that we help you get to that criteria is different based on every dog and every human. So, I know that myself, Caitlin, and Amy all have got personal relationships with many of our graduates and students because we have spent a lot of time with them. Yeah.
And it's so cool when you get to I can think of a couple of teams in particular where I see them regularly, with their yearly renewals of their certificates. And it's just so cool to see that the dog is still so spunky, or they're obedience,
cute,
trying to act in their obedience or something. And I'm like, look at these, and you feel so proud. You're like, look at these guys go.
So good. It's so good. And I've had a few too, a few regulars lately. And I'm like, look at you guys go, and the dog's loving it. And, the kids are loving it. The school's loving it. Everyone loves it. It's all great. And then we've got, new teams coming through as well, where one of the things that I'm really enjoying is our weekly classes that are on Monday nights, that are online. And, people are logging in and they've got X amount of questions or problems or whatever's going on. And so we talk through them, and then they log in the next week or fortnight, and I'm like, how'd that go? They're like, oh yeah, no, that's fine now. That's all sorted. And they've got their progression videos of their dogs are on mats and things like that. And these are young dogs, and it just makes me so happy. I'm like, look at these dogs go, man. You guys are killing it. This is so exciting to be that's something that we didn't get to do before. That's new this year, is the puppy and adolescent training programs. And it's super fun to be guiding people mentally and emotionally through it too. We have a lot of conversations about okay, so everyone just relax. Everyone just
take a breath.
Everyone just take a breath. Just, everything's okay, because we don't want to be putting a lot of pressure on these dogs as babies that they're going to be a therapy dog. We just need to raise this baby. So when we're doing that, we're focusing on raising a great, happy, satisfied, friendly dog. And that dog will tell you by 12 months, that dog will tell you whether or not it's going to be a therapy dog. Exactly like your human child at 18 will be telling you exactly what they're going to be doing with their life too. So your dog will do that, but you lay the foundations, and you can't raise a child to be a lawyer. You can't be I'm going to rate, and this is little Jed's a lawyer, so that's why we parent him like this, because he's going to be a lawyer. You can't do that. It doesn't work like that. You raise a happy, confident, healthy little human, and then they get to 18 and however some of them are 14, and then they go, I'm doing this, and you're like, okay, I'm cheering you on. I'm cheering you on from over here. So I see it as a similar thing with our dogs too. If we're putting too much pressure on turning this dog into something, I'm seeing that become quite stressful, and then that's counterproductive to what we're trying to achieve. So we're just raising baby dogs and reaping the benefits of that later.
And another cool thing that that I will be doing once I've got this workshop stuff out of the way, because I'm only going to do one thing at a time, because I'm not going to overwhelm myself by doing too many things at once.
If you do overwhelm yourself, if you've got any pots in your kitchen,
Throw them up.
you just throw them in the air.
I haven't done that
Problem
yet, so maybe maybe I should try that tactic.
Problem solved.
Another thing that I will be doing at some point this year is doing some Te Reo Māori dog training. So the thing we will be incorporating Te Reo Māori into our dog training. The thing to keep in mind with that is that all the methods will stay the same. It's just the language that we're changing. And that's quite an easy change to do. So I know that like Te Reo Māori is becoming quite prevalent in school, like comparatively to when I was in school. Like it was around, it was there, but it wasn't as much as it is now, where teachers are actively speaking it in their, in their everyday curriculum, which is
That's
really
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So there will be a need for that. So we'll be doing some training videos where all we're doing is just changing the language. The methods are the same. It's just the language that we're changing.
Yeah.
And I know that there'll be people who, as we do this, there'll be people who'll come to us with some really great ideas about, about the language and things that we can change or something. So I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking for feedback too. So
always,
anyone listening to this, please, don't hesitate.
Always.
So that'll be something else that will make this a little bit different from Australia. Because at the moment we've just got the one language in Australia, which again I'm sure can change at some point, and some of our students may already be using different languages.
Some are, some are, yeah.
So it's
remember we had that teacher, that languages teacher, and she was using, I can't remember what language it was, with her little dog. It was like a school dog, and she was using
that.
All that
is so cool.
and it was to encourage the kids to speak the language she was teaching.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's what I needed when I was learning languages.
I know. I will talk to nobody in German except the dog. All right.
Yes, I do remember. And there's been a few. I remember there's a lady up around north of Brisbane area, on the Sunshine Coast, where she was a Japanese teacher, and she was using Japanese with her dog.
Well, it might have been her.
It could have been her.
Sounds like the same person.
It could be the same person.
Very similar story.
But yes, there is, the methods stay the same, but we can change the language to be more appropriate for your setting. So very exciting things that are going to be coming out of branching out.
Sorry, Kato. One of the things that I think we in Australia don't understand is the full embrace of Indigenous culture that you guys have in Aotearoa, where we just don't have that here, and it is a goddamn shame. And
it's very Australia.
If you've ever watched a football game and seen the haka, it is spectacular. Like, it's so cool. Everyone loves it. Yeah. But for some reason in Australia, we just don't get it. We have made small improvements in embracing our Indigenous culture, but not really. Not really.
Nowhere near enough.
Nowhere near. We don't speak the language, and a lot of Aboriginal people can't speak the language now because they've been so far removed from their ancestors and things like that. So, and it's a damn shame that we've lost a lot of that already, and I hope that we don't completely lose or continue to lose that culture and history, because it's so rich. The Māori culture is very special, and the way that New Zealand has embraced Indigenous culture, and the way that, I don't know what the right terminology would be, but the way that New Zealand works, I don't see that anywhere else. And I'm not well traveled, but I really don't know other countries that combine their Indigenous culture with their more European culture. Is that the right way to say that? And
I think so.
Works?
And it's such a, like, the whole Indigenous thing is such a big topic. It's just, there's so much that comes into it, but there is a dramatic difference between how New Zealand, incorporates their Indigenous culture comparatively to Australia. And it's, I mean, there are so many things that come into that. The size of the country, the funding, the, people in the stolen generation, how that was so recent. A lot of hurt from that, but there is lots of, intergenerational trauma in both respects. But yeah, such a big topic, but it's so lovely to, I know that there will be people who will be interested in doing that in New Zealand, whereas we haven't really had that so much with the Aboriginal culture here yet. I'm not saying that won't happen, but I hope it does, but it hasn't been something that we've had, and no one's really reached out to us for that yet. So I know that there will be a thing in New Zealand. So to have that, and people can take it or leave it, like you don't have to do it if you don't want to. But it is going to be there available for you if that is something that you're interested in. So very exciting.
So cool. If anyone's listening and happens to be an Aboriginal Australian and is interested in that, can you contact me and let's see if we can figure out how we can, because obviously, so Caitlin's Māori, so so that's our connection to Caitlin's culture, and it's appropriate for her to be driving this. So if there is an Indigenous Australian, Aboriginal Australian who is interested in creating something, let us know. I know one of the barriers is that we have like many versions of Aboriginal language. Is that different in Aotearoa?
Yes and no. So there are lots of different tribes around, and for the most part, the language is the same, but there are certain tribes that have different dialects for different words. But for the most part, if you were to say, a word that 99% of people would understand what you meant, it might just be a slight change. But it's definitely not like Aboriginal culture where they're scattered so vastly, and the dialects change so dramatically depending on your region. So but yeah, if you were to speak Te Reo Māori to someone in New Zealand, they would, for the most part, they would understand you, but there may be like a word or two that's a little bit different.
I think that's like, in terms of communication, accessibility, stuff like that, I think that probably does make a pretty big difference. But
100% for sure.
Okay, super exciting. So there's a couple of things there for you guys to be aware of. If you're brand new and listening in and you're from Aotearoa and you're not sure how our courses work and how we're doing this, we run them online. So all of our stuff is run online, and there is a face-to-face component where a qualified dog trainer will do a temperament assessment of your dog. In Australia, we have locum dog trainers, we call them. They're all over Australia. So we've got dogs all over Australia that don't have to travel to, we're in Brisbane. They don't have to travel to us to get their temperament assessments done. We take temperament assessments from dog trainers all over Australia. So there is the opportunity for that in Aotearoa as well, where we will be able to take temperament assessments from qualified dog trainers in your area. We know there's plenty of dog trainers in Aotearoa. Yes. The other, being a smaller country, and I know, we might have some access issues and stuff like that, but we will be there too. So we will be coming and doing this stuff with you guys as well. We are going to have a presence over there. Luckily, you're not too far away from us. So
just hop, skip, and a jump.
Hop, skip, and a jump over the ditch. And we can go and hang out with our cousins across the ditch. And we'll be there. So we will do your face-to-face stuff as well, which is just a temperament assessment. The rest of it's all online. So you've got easy access to us. We are aware that there's a time difference. So for our courses and things that are running at a time, they are Australian Eastern Standard Time for the group stuff we log in. However, I've already added like Christchurch and everything to my world clock.
What a legend.
On my phone. So
it means that people from New Zealand get a bit of a sleep in, but they get a bit of a later dinner. So
it's 3:36 p.m. in Auckland right now.
It's 1:36 here, so
Okay, so a couple hours ahead.
yeah, and that obviously depends on daylight savings because New Zealand does have daylight savings as well. So sometimes it'll be 3 hours, sometimes it'll be 2 hours, but just means you get a little bit of a sleep in and a bit of a later dinner sometimes. So
well, Perth are 11:36 a.m.
yes.
So we have lots of people in Perth. So it sucks for them because they have to get up really early in the morning.
Yeah.
They get up very early in the morning and we're all like bright and chipper at like 9 a.m. Like 3 a.m. or whatever. We're like, what the heck? I forget about time differences. That's why I had to put them all on my phone so I could be like, oh goodness.
Well, even because I'm in Sydney, like bloody daylight savings messes with with us here.
Daylight savings messes with everything.
Awkward time though, because it's like half an hour, isn't it?
No, it's an hour.
It's an hour
difference. Yeah.
For some reason I thought it was half an hour. Like, it's such an awkward time.
That would be
so
impossible to manage.
Like, why?
Oh, Caitlin. So whenever we have daylight savings, I have a large number of people not showing up to their appointments that they've booked with me online that are in New South Wales or whatever because it just messes with them.
When I interviewed with you, Sam, I was an hour early, I think.
I
didn't know what was going on.
Keen as a bean. She was like, get this.
Where is this chick? The other thing is, so our website is also, so you guys are just all included on our Therapy Dogs Australia website for the time being. And the prices are all in AUD. So just be aware of that as well. So there's a couple of clunky little bits and pieces there. But we think that we can work around those. So time difference, physical face-to-face assessments and currency conversion are definitely on the list, but we've got contingency plans for all of that. So be aware of that. I think they're manageable obstacles. I know that they're manageable obstacles. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So the idea is that, I mean, because I go back to New Zealand frequently anyway, because, my whānau's there. And so I obviously like to go see them.
Yeah.
So I at least go to New Zealand at least once a year, but I do aim for 2. So during that time, because people need to be reassessed and have face-to-face temperament, as Sam said. So we'll look at doing like, mid start of the year and then mid of the end of the year. So
yeah,
depending on how slow this is or fast this is to take off will depend on like where we go around the country. So it might be that we do one in Auckland, or it might be that we do one in Wellington, or that there'll be at least one in Christchurch regardless. Like there will always be one in Christchurch because that's where my whānau's based. So again, as Sam said, like there are dog trainers that are in New Zealand. So and the process that we have working with local trainers works so well for us in Australia. So
it's amazing.
That not working in New Zealand as well. So
I'd be very surprised if
it's and again, worst case scenario, it's a half-hour flight from Christchurch to Wellington. Like it's not like it's
honest and that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys, so we give everyone in Australia the option. You can use a locum dog trainer or you can come to us. And obviously when they're in a different state, sometimes people come to us because they're coming on holidays anyway. And great, we do that. But most people obviously choose a convenience and choose a trainer in their area. So you guys will have that option. You guys will be able to choose via convenience of having the trainers in your area, or you'll have the option where we go over there and we're in a certain spot. We'll be in a couple of spots, obviously, north and south, but we will be there and you can come to us as well. Yeah. The other thing about the time difference is that we have got our self-paced courses. So just be aware that that is an option too. So you can run, you don't have to log in for a group time. You can do those, and then we book your tuition, which is like professional supervision around your diary, your calendar when you're available, generally speaking. So there's options there for flexibility. What else was I going to say? What else? Anything else, guys?
We're very Accessible too. I was just going to say, emailing us, you will get a
Oh,
reply,
yes.
personalized reply. Like we get
Mhm.
a lot of very specific questions about, different dogs in different industries, and
Yep.
like, don't hesitate to reach out to us. It's
Yep.
like info at
absolutely.
therapydog.com.au or
Facebook, Instagram,
Mhm.
got it all.
all of
Yeah,
it.
so you guys have got your Therapy Dogs Aotearoa Facebook and Instagram. There's not as much content on there, obviously, as the Therapy Dogs Australia stuff. So I would suggest that you follow both. But your specific updates obviously will go to your Therapy Dogs Aotearoa socials. So be aware of that. If you're listening and you want to be kept up to date with what's going on, jump on the website. It's www.therapydog.com.au and join the mailing list. Subscribe to the mailing list. We've found a heap of your emails anyway, and we've been sending you emails. So sorry about that. But yeah, just trying to introduce ourselves. So yeah, jump on there, subscribe to that. What else do we need to let you know? I think that's it. Oh, the code. That's right. Sorry, guys. Whoa.
Slow down.
Whoa. Okay. So if you didn't know, when we these emails that we found and have been emailing, been offering everybody a 20% off of our clinical course, community course, typical, intensive, and self-paced.
Selective though. There are selective courses at the
Selected dates. But I think it's
Should we make a general?
I think it's all the courses that are left for the rest of this year.
Oh, there you go. That's good.
So we've got course starting on the 14th of August. So I'm just looking at my calendar. The 14th of August, a clinical course. We've got
25th of September community. Is that right?
Yeah. 18th of September clinical, 9th
That's
of
sold
October
out.
clinical, 13th of November community course, and then there's 2 courses there's clinical and community courses in December as well. So it's 20% off all the self-paced option as well. So your code for that is podcast NZ, no spaces. It'll make it all capitals when you put it in there, but it just do all lowercase. Podcast PODCAST NZ. So we originally gave that 20% offer and it was supposed to expire on the 7th of August. But for you podcast listeners, we've extended it, and you will be able to use that course for any of the 2023 courses. Use that code for any of the 2023 courses that we have spaces available in. No rain checks, all the same terms and conditions apply. No rain checks. We can't, book it in December and then reschedule it for May next year. That's not how it works. Okay. So this is our welcome. And yeah, we hope to be meeting you guys.
Is this New Zealand residents only?
Yes, New Zealand residents only. As a welcome to you guys. And it doesn't matter if your third party's paying. So if it's personal, private paying, or, your company's paying or whatever, doesn't matter. Chuck the code into the online store. It'll automatically, you can book these courses through our online store and it'll automatically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at some of the prices and you're thinking, oh, this recession's hitting pretty hard, we do have payment plans available.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you're really, really, really want to do it, but the financial aspect's a bit tricky at the moment, just email us and we can work with you to figure out a payment plan. Because we want you guys to be educated, and we want you guys to be informed, and we want you guys to be safe. So
that's it.
Just email us. It's not an issue.
We have heaps of people on payment plans. We do it all the time. It's not a problem at all.
Totally fine. At
all. So to finish up for today, I just wanted to welcome you all. Thanks for having us there in your beautiful country. I'm looking forward to learning more about Māori culture. I don't know much.
Me too.
So that's really exciting for us. before we sign off as well, I just wanted to touch on if the industry, the therapy dog industry or the animal assisted therapy industry hasn't become as popular and intensive in Aotearoa as what it is in Australia just yet. I can see that.
Absolutely.
So we just wanted to point out as well, so we've got a fair bit of traction happening over here where we're getting some sort of industry governing bodies happening and stuff like that. Are still not fully regulated or governed, but a couple of bodies are forming around that, and there's codes of conduct and things like that coming about as well. So we just wanted to stress to our Australian residents as well as Aotearoa residents that it is actually really important that we've got the dog and the handler trained. If you look at our website, you can see what the handler training involves. It is not just how to train a dog. It is how to work with a dog in a way that is clinically appropriate, therapeutically safe for the participant or the client or the vulnerable human being that you are exposing this dog to. So it's not as simple as I take my dog to this place and people pat it and it's great. It can be as simple as that when things are going to plan. But there's lots of things that we've got to think about as well. So we take you through, risk assessment and management, ethical dilemmas, canine welfare, client welfare. We take you through the research. What is this built on? Where does this come from? What kinds of studies and things like that can we use to back up what we're doing? Because animal assisted therapy is at this moment in time not an evidence-based therapy. If you're a psychologist or other allied health who is regulated by a governing body for your profession, so your physios or whoever, we also have, so I'm a psychologist as well, so we also have additional requirements to maintain our registrations and to make sure that we are providing evidence-based practice. So it is really important that if you are in that field and you're trying to incorporate animal-assisted interventions into what you're doing, that we know how to do that correctly and in a way that's not going to compromise our evidence-based modalities that we should be drawing on, so that we are keeping in line with our existing governing bodies and registrations for our profession, which is our psychology, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, whatever it is. So all you guys, make sure that you reach out to us because it is important that you've got some training. So yeah, we can talk
that you take on, as a counselor or as a psychologist, you might start thinking, okay, maybe I'll do some, I might hone in on CBT, or I might do IPT, or I might do, any kind of modality that you decide to take on, mindfulness even. Like there's so many workshops and courses out there that people encourage you to take before undertaking those modalities so that you actually know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do it right, you can be doing the complete opposite, and that's not helping anybody. So it's professional development. You need to be able to understand it so that you can teach it properly and safely, and know that you're doing helping make progress rather than potentially becoming harmful in some way. So
starting with us as well, from what I'm learning, is that you have like us behind you, Therapy Dogs Australia behind you to back you up as well if you have 100%. Difficult conversations with work colleagues or employers. Like we're a support network. Yeah.
You will. But we are more than happy to have those, guide you through those conversations, or even be, Amy and Sam have been, there have been multiple times where I've been with a student and, in a meeting with that person's workplace or boss or principal or whoever, to help kind of facilitate that that conversation about why we do the things that we do. Another thing as well is that I'll point out is that through my Googling, because I have so much time available to me, is that I've been emailing companies and talking to people on the phone, and I've been like, so like, you guys got a code of conduct? And they're like, no. For working with your animals. There are companies that, farming and stuff, that's a little bit different. We're not talking about that. They have their own farming. But in terms of like working with a canine in like a mental health or educational role, I cannot find anywhere that has a code of conduct in New Zealand. So if you know of one, please let us know. But as far as I'm aware, there isn't one. But we will be bringing our Therapy Dogs Australia / Aotearoa best practice code of conduct with us. So that will give you a baseline so that you can take that with you to your employer and say, this is what I'm following.
Yes.
And if they want to argue with us about that, they can come and talk to us.
They can do that. Yes. Yes, please do. The point of what we're saying as well, it's not scaremongering or, you know, threatening or anything like that. It's support. So keeping you guys happy and safe and content in what you're doing, keeping the dogs happy, keeping the clients happy and safe as well. You know, when you pick up, you know, a new modality, so you don't have to go and get accredited in every single thing you do. But, you know, and if you're comfortable with Googling and figuring stuff out and you get it right that way, that's cool. But if you're the type of person who's like, oh my goodness, like I'm finding stuff, I'm not really too sure or whatever, like that's where that level of training, where it's like, you know, it's not a formal accreditation in Australia yet, animal assisted therapy. It will be at some point, but it's not now. But we're there to guide you through what we know and what we've learned over the last 11 years, working in these roles and working, you know, training hundreds of other dogs and students working in various roles as well. And this code of conduct stuff, it's not about, you know, bossing people. I think the code of conducts that we've got at the moment are too stringent. And I think that there's a lot of work to be done on those, but show me a code of conduct that's not. Show me a policy that's not like that, you know. So we're gonna end up with stuff like that in this industry, that's for sure. But that's why what we're coming forward with is our best practice policy, and the idea is that for every situation, for every team, in every different workplace or visitation setting or whatever it is, and the team is the dog and the handler, that their policy and procedure of doing things is going to be different to the team that they know, you know, 2 doors down that works somewhere different with a different type of dog. It's going to be different. So what we're going to teach you to do is how to know what your dog and your workplace or visitation setting needs and what is going to work in that setting. We're going to teach you how to do that so that you can make those decisions for yourself. We don't govern. Therapy Dogs Australia, Therapy Dogs Aotearoa, we don't govern. So what we do is we provide information, advice, and recommendations. And we've done a lot of work to make sure that what we are providing in terms of that is safe information for you. So we're making sure that your insurance companies and things like that are going to take our advice that in recommendations that we've given to you seriously, because we've done all this stuff over here to make sure that the advice that we're giving and all that sort of stuff, we've got qualified people giving it to you and et cetera, et cetera. So the idea is to support you guys exactly like we do in Australia. So, you know, like it's an opportunity. We're here for you if you're interested.
It's advocacy. It's having that voice where maybe obviously the dog doesn't have that voice. So we're helping the dog have that advocacy, and we're helping you have that advocacy as well, because it is a tough conversation to have, especially if it's with an employer or someone that's, you know, a boss or someone that's paying your wages. It's hard to have that conversation where you maybe you want to say something, but you don't have the evidence or you don't know how to say it, or you don't know whether it's right or not. We're that person. We're those people that can help you have that conversation. So,
absolutely. We do that stuff all the time.
All the time. But before we go, I will do a closing karakia just so that we can close off this mihi that we're doing today. Kua mutu mātou mahi mō tina wā manaaki mai mātou katoa o mātou hua o mātou whānau ao kite ao rangi. Our work has finished for the time being. Protect us all, our friends, our whānau, our family. Peace to the universe.
Thank you, Kato.
No worries.
You're a bloody legend, mate. Thank you for everything.
All good.
You're
No
a weapon.
rather be.
You're a dead set weapon, buddy. So very excited about this. And yeah, let's get amongst it, eh?
Yeah. Stuff. Learn some new ways of doing things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Horizons.
Go
Some
for a
podcast.
few bloody holidays to New Zealand, mate.
Oh no.
See you soon, guys. Kia ora. Kia ora. How do I say it? Kia
Kia
ora.
ora.
Kia ora. Kia ora, cuz. Is that cool? Is that cool to say?
You are very cool.
Yes.
You know what's going to be amazing is that being a Kiwi in Australia, like especially my partner's family, just rip on me all the time about being Kiwi and like the things that I say, and they're like, chili bin, and it's going to be so cool when it's when we go to New Zealand. Although
Yes.
my confidence,
Samuel's going to feel like an idiot. Yeah.
It's going to be back on him.
Yeah, but my family aren't as bad as his family are to me. My family.
It's actually a part of our Australian culture to tease.
I think it is.
It's very loving.
But it'll be funny, like coming into engaging with people that are not my family, because I'm sure he'll cop it a bit then, where people are like,
when we go to Aotearoa, Kato, should I bake a pavlova, obviously homemade?
Let's not poke it
as a gift to, like, from my culture as an Australian, should I make a pavlova and give it to a New Zealander?
Look, let's just get some students through and then maybe we'll start kicking some balls. One thing at a time.
Let's not burn all of the bridges over the ditch before you've walked over it even once, Sam. Boo. Lame. Right.
Thank you so much, both of you.
No worries.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you're interested in studying with Therapy Dogs Australia, or you have a few more questions before deciding, please get in touch with us by emailing courses@therapydog.com.au or visiting our website at www.therapydog.com.au for more information and FAQs.